All right. This week on the show, we have a very strong housekeeping. It's basically a double housekeeping. And this episode in general is one of the strongest scripts I think we've ever come to the show with.
Very nice.
So it's going to be a good one. Last week, as you guys know, we, as we do every week, covered the things that are causing heart problems and blood clots. Every week we've kind of been putting it together. Last week we did a compilation of all the stuff. And to be honest, I was kind of hoping that would be it. It would be done. We'd wrap it up with the compilation bit and we can kind of move on. But unfortunately, we're not able to because a new thing causing blood clots and heart problems in children just dropped. Playing video games. What's the headline?
Gaming can be deadly for children. Action-packed missions might kickstart life-threatening arrhythmias in kids with undiagnosed heart issues, studies suggest.
So we are not out of the clear yet. We're not out of the woods yet. There are still things causing blood clots and heart problems in children, which makes sense because now is the part where people are going to start dying.
Yeah. And notice how it's getting younger and younger. It's now like more youthful things.
And it's like kids having heart attacks, which I've never heard of really. And it's becoming more and more prevalent. And instead of ignoring it, we're obviously going to keep covering it. And I also want to get ahead of it. So I want to make a couple guesses myself as to future things that will eventually, they'll tell us will, cause heart problems and blood clots.
Okay.
I have a couple guesses here. Concerts, going to concerts can cause heart problems and blood clots. They can also maybe include like strobe lights. So concerts and strobe lights, commuting.
That's a generic one. That's nice.
I think commuting is going to be one that they're going to say causes heart problems and blood clots. And then finally, polyester.
Okay. All good. All good. You know what I'm going to say? Cell phones.
Oh, that's
just
good.
Ubiquitous, something that nobody can get away from.
And like everyone's got a cell phone. So if you see an uptick in heart problems and blood clots, it's the phone.
Guess it's the phone.
As we said in the Daily Mail article, it's the phone.
Yeah.
Of course. So that is that. Next, we have a massive Diet Coke problem here in New Orleans. We've been drinking Diet Cokes as we usually have. Don't want to say how many a day, but it's more than 2 and 3.
It's cut back. It's cut back a little bit.
Well, I've had to cut back a little bit here because all the Diet Cokes we have go flat immediately. And I thought it was like a conspiracy at first, but then I looked at the Diet Cokes I'm buying, and they all expire within like a month or two. So right now it's October, and the Diet Cokes in my fridge are expiring November 22 and December 22. So the half-life on these Diet Cokes is like 3 minutes. You pour it out, it's already flat. If you pour it on ice, you might as well drink nothing.
Yeah, kiss it goodbye.
So we have no bite in these Diet Cokes, so now I have to go to the store like a sommelier and like look at the bottling date, look at the expiration, and go, oh, okay, this expires in 2023. This is gonna be a good bet. It's gonna be a good batch. That's what I have to do now.
Yeah.
I can't just have a normal life. Everything has to be a fight.
Yeah, you force his hand, New Orleans. You force his hand.
Yeah, so there's no bite in the Diet Cokes here. It's not good.
Which that first sip bite, if you're a Diet Coke fan, you know what that's all about.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
And it stops biting as it goes on, but it's like, whatever, I needed that first bite, and we're not even getting the first bite.
We're not even getting the first bite, and then after a minute or two, you're drinking like Diet Coke you get at your grandma's house that was left in the fridge for too long because no one came over to drink them, so they always were old. That's what we're dealing with here in New Orleans. I guess in New Orleans, they try to save a couple bucks, and they'll go, we'll buy the cheap ones. Everyone we sell to here is a street rat. No one notices. And then they sell full price on the discounted Diet Cokes, is my guess.
Okay.
So
Good theory.
Get that on the record. So unrelated personal news, my teeth are moving. Don't listen to this part if you're my mom. She's not going to be happy to hear that. But my teeth have been moving. It's not good. I looked in the mirror, and I noticed I'm getting a gap between my front 2 teeth. And I wasn't really happy about that. But then I saw a picture of Meatloaf from the 80s, and he had a gap between his 2 front teeth, too. So
isn't this a little late to be moving?
So I can kind of accomplish the mission still.
Yeah.
As long as the meatloaf, someone came before me.
Meatloaf's kind of your safety valve. Like, I could eat that pizza. I can do whatever I want.
300-pound rock star. He's got a little gap in his teeth. It's not impossible if I don't get those teeth straightened out.
Is this wisdom teeth related or what?
It might be wisdom teeth related. I have some wisdom teeth pains here and there, and probably my mouth is shifting. But I never got the wisdom teeth taken out, and I don't think you should, because when they come in, it's probably like widens your jaw, and then if you don't, you get them out. Like what? I get like a receding jaw, and I'm like Mr. Burns' mouth.
I have them out. I don't have them in.
So there's obviously a big difference between the two of us. And then also the bottom third of my.
You ever see that video, that jawline check, where they're like jawline check, and it's the girls, and then their one girlfriend turns to the side, and it's just like a flat face.
That's what happens. You take those teeth out; those are wisdom teeth. They sound smart, and everything's basically a psyop and the opposite of what they tell you. Remember, don't eat butter, don't eat steak.
Yeah,
get your wisdom teeth out. Sounds like they're pretty smart things I need to keep in.
That's true.
And it's going to, it widens my jaw and keeps it going. So I don't want to have a receding jaw. I kept the wisdom teeth in. My teeth are moving now. And unfortunately, on top of that, the bottom third of my peripheral vision is basically gone because of my beard.
Wow, you're playing just at a handicap out here.
Yeah, it's not easy being me. Moving on, Ukraine, Russia update. Things are picking up there. We typed in Zelensky's full name into a translator. I saw this on Twitter. And if you type in Zelensky, Volodymyr, whatever his name is, it translates to the evil one owns the world.
Yeah.
Which is like the devil, which makes sense. And then if you translate Putin into the same translator, it says peace reigns and power peace way. Yeah. So that's interesting. Something to keep note of there.
That's crucial, I think, in determining who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah. So as things escalate in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, kind of keep that in mind. And also keep in mind as well, the powers that be want to do the Green New Deal type stuff, right? So if we get into a nuclear conflict where there's a nuclear incident where a nuclear bomb goes off, or like they even try and just scare us really bad that a nuclear bomb might go off, it's actually going to make people afraid of nuclear energy, which could combat the Green New Deal type policies. In the same way with the vaccine, remember the vaccine had to be rushed and given to everyone because there weren't any cures to the virus. Hydroxychloroquine, zinc, azithromycin, all that stuff wasn't allowed to be promoted because if you had a cure, you wouldn't need a forced vaccine.
Yeah, the emergency use.
Exactly. So it's the same for this. It's like if there's a thing that could beat climate change and whatever and offer alternative energy for cheap, they're not going to be able to do their Green New Deal stuff. So they're going to need everyone to be scared of nuclear. They already made everyone scared of oil and gas. They're obviously ruining that market. So just keep that in mind. Don't get scared of nuclear no matter what they show us or no matter what they say Putin's doing. And we all know who sold the uranium to Russia in the first place, if anything does happen.
Who sold it?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I forgot.
So that's just something to keep in mind. Moving on, we're still in housekeeping. We have a double housekeeping. It's one of our strongest ones yet.
One of the best housekeepings you've ever seen.
I've been thinking a lot about the movie Bros. And I also just recently watched Yes Man.
Oh.
And so you know where I'm going with this.
I do.
I kind of realized that if that movie Yes Man, if Jim Carrey...
We have to explain it a little bit. He goes to a self-help conference, and then basically the gist of the self-help is just start saying yes to everything. Someone invites you somewhere, you say yes. You eliminate no from your vocabulary.
Exactly. So no matter what people want to do, you have to say yes. If Jim Carrey, the Yes Man, stumbled into a gay bar, those gay guys would have really had their way with him.
Just used him up.
They would have used him up. This guy can't say no, and they would have just passed him around. So if you're ever in a situation where you can't say no and you're in a gay bar, you kind of have to like la 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 and like get out.
Earmuffs on
before you get yesed into the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe not even to the bathroom. Maybe
it's the dance floor.
Maybe it happens on the dance floor, wherever. But if you're a yes man, you got to get out of there before the gays have their way with you. And once they figure it out, you're going to be and I don't even want to get into it.
We'll just bleep it out anyway, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a great tip. If any of you guys are ever in a yes man scenario,
do not go to a gay bar.
Avoid those gay
bars. They are going to pass you around. Okay, we're still in housekeeping. This is a page 2 housekeeping. The powers that be are running Helen Keller interference. Obviously, we are HKDs here on the show, Helen Keller deniers. Mm-hmm. And to combat our offensive, the powers that be have been promoting all this Helen Keller stuff the last few weeks. There's a new Helen Keller doll that came out from Walmart.
Barbie, Helen Keller.
Very inspirational. And then there is a girl, there's a new news article and video. A girl flew a plane. She's blind, and she flew a plane. Here it is. What's the headline?
It says, "We don't have limits. A blind Arizona woman is making a rare but monumental achievement. She's about to pilot a plane across the country. Her story."
Yeah, so this blind girl flew a plane like Helen Keller did. which is great. It's really inspirational. She totally did. And then on top of that, another video went viral of a dog helping another blind dog down the stairs. Here it is in the background, kind of just playing. It's very sweet, but also keep in mind that blind dog needs some help getting down the stairs. Now, Richard Rapboy, be honest here with the extrapolation. If that's how the blind dog needs to go down the stairs, could a blind person fly a plane?
A blind person.
Extrapolate that for me.
No, I'm going to say no. And a blind person can fly the plane like this. Like pull that back. So, I mean, that's, I think, the extent of it. A blind, incredibly supervised person with a trained pilot next to them can fly the plane for photo ops.
That kind of rings a little more true. And yeah, she's a lady pilot too.
Where's the FAA at on this? Like,
That's a good point.
the FAA is letting this go? Come on.
Yeah. So if they do a solo flight, hey, I'll eat my words and I'll send you a base mug. You were right. I
A
was
successful landing, takeoff and landing solo flight.
wrong. But you're also a lady, no offense, but Amelia Earhart, what was her thing?
Disappeared.
But she did like a solo flight somewhere.
Yeah, she did it the first transatlantic or something like that.
So Amelia
I'm starting to
Earhart-
see some cracks in her story
Yeah.
too.
And it's like she gets promoted as doing like the first solo flight, but then she never came back. So
Yeah.
wasn't that flight not even successful then? Doesn't that
I think there were multiple. Let's get our facts right before we slander Amelia.
Yeah,
but
that
I'm
might
looking
be-
to crack that armor.
that might be next week's?
Yeah.
But if Amelia Earhart is promoted for being like some successful woman pilot, and then on her most memorable flight, she never came back, that don't sound right.
Yeah, she's like lost on some island or something, right?
So yeah, she should have been 50 for 50, perfect flight. Then go, okay, first pilot, great job. She, on one of her major flights, disappeared and never came back. So that doesn't really make sense to me either. So this lady, this new lady, totally does it. She's a blind pilot. She's doing it. She had no problems. She really flew the plane. Wink, wink, in case she's watching.
Listening. She's listening.
It's like, yep, she flew it.
Yeah.
Definitely flew it. All right. Next, we have Halloween coming up. So I have a couple things I found as my best Halloween costume ideas so far. The first one is Freddy, and it's Freddie Mercury and Freddy Krueger put together, and it's split right down the middle. That's a good costume.
That's a great costume, but I don't expect that to be easily replicated by anyone.
Oh, yeah, that's hard.
That's
hard.
this guy has like a special effects girlfriend or something.
Yeah, 100p. And then next is the old man who ate the paint. Can you read the top part?
Yeah, the first one is this is from like a popular meme, and it's like, so my grandpa ate half of a quart of paint today, thinking it was yogurt, and it's a grandpa with all the paint around his mouth, clear signs. And then the other thing says wig from Goodwill, green concealer smeared on mouth, $5. Getting asked all night what I'm supposed to be, priceless.
So it's a costume based on like a meme from Reddit. Perfect outfit, perfect costume, totally cool. And then last idea is a guy who's in like a hospital gown, and it just says what? Sick of these hoes?
Sick of these bitches, yeah.
Sick of these bitches.
And that's kind of like a meme template. Like you could put sick of anything on there.
Yeah. So sick of anything is the template.
Mm-hmm.
And then last, there was a cool thing I saw. A guy has some stupid loud car, but he put a pumpkin on his exhaust, and it looks like haunted and cool, like the Sleepy Hollow stuff.
Nice.
So if you have a loud, stupid car, there's a way to redeem yourself a little bit.
Yeah. If you're one of those annoying people.
Yeah, exactly. We're still in housekeeping. We have two more things to get to. Number one of two, no one went to Dan Crenshaw's Youth Summit.
Yeah, it was pretty poorly attended from everything I heard.
Pretty poorly attended. Apparently they were expecting 2,000 people, and then I think less than 1,000 people came, and then they had to like remove a lot of the chairs from the building because there were so many empty chairs, and I kind of feel bad. Like this is like when a kid has a birthday party and then no one comes.
Yeah.
Like that would always make me feel sad and kind of like, breaks your heart a little bit. It kind of is like that, but it's Dan Crenshaw. It's obviously not the same. We can't feel sad. We have to let these things play out and let
That's
him
like
know.
then that's also like the goal, right? Like
Yeah.
less people listen to Dan Crenshaw. Him losing credibility, right? Like he's a warmonger. He is constantly defending sending money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not just for the military. It's actually for this too, and a lot of it gets spent elsewhere. It's like I don't care. You couldn't find $5 billion for the wall.
Yeah.
We're sending 10 bill chunks at a time over there.
Exactly. Totally agree. So I don't feel bad. He just tried to do like 80s things. He had like a DeLorean and like 80s cool neon font and thought all the kids would show up. Takes more than that, Dan. Trust us.
Trust us. We had the font and no one was showing up.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Everyone showed up the whole time, and whether we had the font or not, Dan, take some notes out of our book, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, Crenshaw sucks. I'm still commenting on his posts, but my comments have been getting shorter and shorter. It used to be, why is Dan Crenshaw posing with a mask on in this photo? And then it went to, why wear a mask in photo, Dan? And now basically I just comment on his posts like schizo, like Ukraine. Or just why?
Yeah. And he's restricted. He's restricted anyway,
Yeah.
so nobody sees his comment on Crenshaw's post, but he does it anyway for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
The comment, why? no adjectives,
Yeah.
no nouns.
Ukraine.
Why? Ukraine? Question mark. All right. Last piece of housekeeping before we get into the main show. This guy walked up on a mountain lion, it looks like. And this is what he did. First of all, he's filming. And he's got his gun out. So the mountain lion's coming up on you. If this was me, it would be shot.
Get back.
You shoot him. And now that thing's like going into the bush, you can't really see it. Now it's like, all right, I'm going to plan my attack. And you wait to shoot until he starts accelerating towards you. He's moving fast and hard to hit. What did you just... Yeah. Why don't you go bang, bang, bang right there?
Yeah.
And hang him on the wall. That is not good. Good thing you saw it head on.
Yeah. That cat must be desperate if he's making a move like that. Like, that was poor hunting, even, by the cat.
Yeah. So if you're a podcast listener, we recommend shooting way sooner than that.
Yep.
That was actually bad reverse base mug for that guy. That takes us out of housekeeping. Before we get into Cringe of the Week, we have our own Tulsi Gabbard and John Fetterman section of the show. John Fetterman just had an interview the other day where he basically said, or the people interviewing him basically said that like he can't understand them. So he needs like a teleprompter of everything they're saying. And he's just like a stroke victim. It's very sad almost.
Yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, and we haven't really talked about this that much because it's kind of like, oh, it's just the Pennsylvania Senate race. It's not really a national thing. But Fetterman has just been coming to the forefront with all his gaffes, like competing with Joe Biden basically, and even overpassing him.
Like Joe Biden has problems. He's an old man. He's got dementia. It's elder abuse for sure. Like John Fetterman had a stroke, and it's like, hey, John, do you want to order pizza? And he'll go, "We'll have the pizza?
Pizza. And like with a weird inflection.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Do you want to order a pizza?
No.
Ordering.
And then this video that just came out, like the reporter basically had to kind of expose him because they were looking to do a Weekend at Bernie's, like typical Democrat,
Everything's
like
fine,
set up interview. But then the lady kind of had to explain it.
His campaign required that he be allowed to use a transcription program on his computer during our interview.
I always thought I was pretty empathetic, emphatic. I think I was very, empathetic. That's an example of the stroke, empathetic. I always thought I was very empathetic.
So I guess his new
before having
angle
a stroke.
is...
But now
You want me to
after
play this other
having
one
that stroke,
really quick?
I really understand.
Go ahead.
We had a monitor set up so that he could read my questions because he still has lingering auditory processing issues as a result of the stroke, which means
she's sitting in front of him. And she's asking questions, and he needs it written down in real time.
And then he still can't read it and say anything.
Yeah, and he's still answering poorly and being kind of a muppet.
And his new angle now is because he's like disabled from the stroke. He said, Dr. Oz is healthy and rich now, and I'm disabled or whatever. Who do you think's going to fight for the people that, need it the most or something? It's like you change the angle to admitting that you're disabled.
Dude, it's a crazy disqualifier, and he's like leaning into it like, they're mocking me for this. It's like, you can't think, you can't talk. Like, we need a senator.
And this guy came from like nowhere. He was the mayor of like a burned down town. And then the powers that be kind of like, oh, we got one here.
Hey, we can really, he'll do really whatever we want.
Yeah, like the stepping stone from like mayor of a burned down town of like no people.
Yeah.
And then like
Braddock,
probably a couple
Pennsylvania.
thousand votes probably to win. And then now it's like, oh, he was the mayor of that town. Like run him on Senate. and then he's just going to be a pure Muppet for, the George Soros powers that be types.
Yeah.
And he has that thing in the back of his neck, which I think is like a computer brain chip holder thing.
Yeah, that's jury's out on that for now, but
Yeah, we can't confirm that yet, but I think that's where they plug in and charge him and then like upload what he needs to say. And then like if they need to, they can control him like Plankton and SpongeBob that time.
Yep. But that's up there with Amelia Earhart, suspected, not proven quite yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so he's had gaffes everywhere. He just called Joe Biden Joe Bin.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have the clip of that one?
Yeah.
Joe Biden, Joe Bin.
Joe Biden run again in 2024?
I think that should be a decision made by Joe Bin. And that's it's
Who's Joe Bin? Should he make the decision?
Is Joe Bin the guy running the show here?
So this is a true Weekend at Bernie's situation where they're just trying to push him past the goal line while slandering Dr. Oz while they have literally like a defunct person. Like he cannot do it. He can't do it. If you need the questions read to you as you're being spoken to by someone, I think that might like just disqualify you to be a
100%.
senator. There's 100 senators in America.
And then he wears the outfit. Like before the show, I was gonna say like I'm kind of in like a Fetterman outfit. I kind of wear Fetterman clothes, like basketball shorts and a hoodie. But I'm not.
Do.
I know
He's
it's
making it bad for you.
But I'm not running for Senate.
Yeah.
And if I was, I would wear normal outfits. Yeah. I would wear a nice Brooks Brothers tie. I would have a nice shirt. I know how to tie the tie well. I would wear a good belt. I wear nice pants. I know how to do it. I just don't. Yeah. He kind of ruins my style for me because he looks like a loser, and everyone paints him as a loser because he is a loser. And now it's like, oh yeah, he's an adult wearing a hoodie. He's a loser. Now I'm fucked.
Yeah, he's taking you down with him. And he kind of wears it as like, oh, I'm a friend of the unions and the steel mills, and that's why I wear Carhartt hoodies and basketball shorts. And he's kind of like a super rich guy too. I think he's like a trust fund or something. Like his parents
was like supported by his parents until he was like 40 something. I think he still is or whatever.
Yes.
So that's good. He's an absolute fake Muppet, literal Muppet. He has the brain chip thing in the back where they plug in. He's a real Mupp. Tulsi Gabbard, kind of a Muppet as well. She like had this video of like, I'm leaving the Democrat Party. A little late, Tulsi. It's 2022. A little late. Haven't you done this like 4 times already?
That's what I thought. And my initial instinct was like, didn't you say, oh, I'm not a Democrat, I'm independent. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. Like she's kind of walked away like several times. It's like, okay, go.
Yeah.
Finish it. Finish the job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a huge fan of Tulsi Gabbard. She's pro-choice. She thinks Joe Biden probably won the election fair and square.
She endorsed Joe Biden as well?
Exactly. That's what makes me the most mad is she endorsed Joe Biden in 2020 after dropping out of the race because she thought he was a better candidate than Trump. But like we had the same tea leaves. We read the same tea leaves. I looked at it and said, if Joe Biden becomes a president, this is going to be a disaster for the country at every level. Trump was doing a good job. She had the same tea leaves as me, couldn't admit that Trump was doing a good job, and then still endorsed Joe Biden. So it's like, how can I trust you if I'm like a fat idiot podcaster and I got it right, and then you're like some decorated military senator, congresswoman, whatever she was,
with intelligence, with actual intel and inside Congress know-how.
And then it's like you came to the conclusion that Joe Biden's best. I endorsed Joe Biden 2020. Yeah, I'll never trust you again after that.
Or
we
at
had
least
the same tea leaves. I got it right and you didn't. It's like, that's kind of embarrassing.
And there's also something to be said for like someone who leaves the Democratic Party and who makes a big show of it. And it's like Tucker is going to have her on, had her on this week. And it's like, that's normal. That's fine. But for like us types, it's very suspicious. It's like a light clap, but like, all right.
Yeah.
Extremely suspicious, right?
Yeah, welcome. We're not going to listen to you too much.
Yeah.
You can kind of hang out with Megyn Kelly in that lane and like talk to each other and have your podcast.
Exactly.
But we don't need much from Tulsi. And if she runs against Trump as a Republican, that's not going to do us any good either.
You think she was gearing up for president again?
I assume she is, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to assume so. And then also, it's like if she runs in a different state, like if she goes to Hawaii, then it's like a half Democrat, former Democrat, her running against a different Democrat. Then it's like, okay, so either way, 1.5 Democrats are going to win. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
She's
like,
basically a Democrat.
Yeah.
She should have just stayed Democrat.
Stayed Democrat and did Joe Manchin stuff.
Exactly. Because that's actually more valuable. And if you truly wanted to change the Democrat Party and they abandoned you, wouldn't you just in your head basically switch and then just vote for what's right? And if you end up voting along the lines of Republican more, then it's like, doesn't that help the Republican Party, which the country needs?
100%. And then look at how much attention like Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema get when they're holding out on a bill for a vote. Like they're like, no, I want this part out. I want this part out. It's like, that's who has the power, the holdouts.
Yeah. So I don't trust Tulsi Gabbard. She was a WEF person too, but she probably says, oh, I'm not anymore.
They just used my picture.
Yeah, same with Crenshaw. You and Dan. They should go on each other's podcast, those two.
Yeah.
I bet they will.
I think they will. I guarantee they will.
All right. So
and they'll call it like an across the aisle conversation with two people who are just like talking past each other.
Yeah, pretending to be Republicans.
So here's why we need to send the money. So those missiles that Ukraine has, they cost a lot.
Yeah, the Ukraine needs our help because they need to defeat Russia with our support. It's like, you're going to get us into another war? Is that what the plan is?
Is that what I'm hearing?
Sounds like you're going to do that. Her and Dan Crenshaw can go hang out and be friends.